Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Wednesday night. It is a Wednesday evening. It might be a morning, depending on where you're at in the world, but one thing is always certain. The Premier Sim Racing League always shows up 3 nights a week to bring you some action. And this week, this Wednesday night, it is race number 7 here in the AMX Zero tier here in Season 3. We decided to take the most American car you can think of, the Cadillac CTS-V, and throw it at Charlotte Speedway at the road course at Charlotte, the Roval, and just throw everything American that we could. Take the Cadillac to the hills of North Carolina and just throw it around. I hope everyone's having a good day. My name is Brad, and I am going to be one of your 2 commentators to bring you through this amazing evening of racing here with AMX. Amir will be joining me shortly, I hope, as he is just getting ready and getting things going. So I'm going to kind of talk you through the introduction, kind of talk you through how things with AMX work. If this is your first time seeing an AMX race, welcome. Go to amxrace.com to get in on all of the action. There is tons of money being given away every single night, 3 nights a week through September 20th until December 10th. The prize pool is $25,000 that we are laying out there and throwing out. It's the most races in the year, the most variety of car and track combos, and you're not going to see anything like it in any other iRacing league that you could participate in. If you're new to AMX, of course, the race format is quite a bit different, and you'll get used to it as you go. It is 2 heats after a qualifier, reverse grids for the top 15. Any balances over $100 payout each month, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday races. So just keep your eyes on and join via amxrace.com. Get on the Discord and just get involved. That's the big key. If you want to earn money, if you're like, wow, $100, how do I earn that? You just have to get involved. It is very, very easy to do, I promise. Taking a look here at the schedule. If you're like, okay, well, when does AMX race? You have my interest, Bradley. When do we move forward? It is 7:50 p.m. on Wednesdays, Eastern Standard Time, with AMX 10 followed at 9:20 p.m. We'll talk about AMX 10 here in a little bit when AMX 10 happens. And then Saturday and Sunday, we throw it in U.S. Eastern Time afternoon, 12:50 p.m. And if you are of the European flavor, as many of our friends are, we heard you. We know that 1:50 a.m. on a Thursday maybe isn't convenient for you. So this Saturday and Sunday, we've got 6:50 p.m. and 8:20 p.m. respectively for AMX 10. Because we know some of you are late nights and you love to hang around, but some of you want that good evening race. And if you're like, okay, now you have my interest, the schedule works, everything works, how much money are we talking about here in the AMX Zero prize pool? Well, it all stacks up. We're going to pay you for quali. We're going to pay you for each heat. So, quali, first place gets $7. You can see on the screen how it walks all the way down. You finish top 15. We're going to reverse the grid from quali into heat 1, and then we're going to do it again. You finish top 15 in heat 1. We're going to flip it around one more time, send it to heat 2. There is, if you get first place all 3 times, it's $21. Plus, you get an extra point if you join the Zoom call. So, $22 if you finish first all 3 times. And I don't know any other league that does it. I've said it a few times, but you just got to keep it going. And money's not the only thing we're giving out here. Let me go ahead and drop the flavor of the day on you. AMX Zero Champion, if you win the full season, you get the GT Light Pro from our team and our friends at Next Level Racing. And if that doesn't motivate you to join, I don't know what else will, because that is an amazing setup. And all you got to do is just join and do the thing you already enjoyed doing. And if you're kind of like, okay, AMX 0, that's interesting, but AMX 10, I hear there's more money involved. First 10 entries for each AMX 10 race are free, which means AMXrace.com. It's rolling sign up. So if you see a race you want to join, maybe you want to join the TCRs at Zolder, AMXrace.com and jump on that. Maybe you want to run GTEs at Silverstone on Saturday, AMXrace.com, sign up for that. First 10 entries for an AMX 10 race are free, and it's opened up on a rolling basis. So just make sure you're going to the website every so often. After the first 10 races, it goes back to a normal sign-up fee of $10 for AMX 10. AMX 0, which is the race you're about to watch, is always free, and it is a lot of fun to watch. And I'm just saying, you can earn $21 by joining a free race. It's a very, very good setup. Now, I've told you all about the league. Let me tell you about what you're about to watch here for the next 2 heats and a qualifying session. It is going to be the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a track that was opened in 1949, ran in the 60s, owned by Bruton Smith and Curtis Turner. Well, bankruptcy because they just totally blew the budget on building the track. 50 years later, everything's different, 160,000 seats, but the one thing that has stayed the same, it is still owned by Bruton Smith. And this is a big track. It's got the Roval, it's the Oval, it runs the Coke 600, it runs so many big races here at Charlotte. 2.25 mile road course, 1.2 kilometers, it's a 1.5 mile quad oval, 24 degrees of banking in the corners. We're going to cut the first 2 corners off here to run the Roval, and you're going to see a bit of infield. It's a very tricky track, and I look forward to walking you through it. And if you're like, okay, what car are we running then? We're running Charlotte, a very well-known American track. Allow me to introduce you to what is not your grandfather's Cadillac. It is the Cadillac CTS-V. When I was prepping for this race today and I was looking up some info about the car, one of the things I saw is a description on Reddit. It's like driving a UPS truck, sounds like an Atari 2600, it has the tendency to kick the back end out when you're downshifting, but it is the fastest car I've driven. 460 horsepower rear-wheel drive, 1,450 kilograms with a sequential gearbox, Cadillac CTS-V. It is a car that is very, very fun to run, and it's very, very accessible here in iRacing. And it is something that if you get the chance to jump in, you really should. It's a beast to handle. It's big. It doesn't float like a butterfly. It doesn't sting like a bee. It is a very, very fun car, and I look forward to showing you more of it as we go through the session. But we talked about AMX 0 has a prize of that next level racing sim cockpit. Who is in the run for that right now? Well, who is currently running in contention for the GT Light Pro? It is going to be the wonderful Jackson Resenje, who has ran 6 races, won one, $48.50 currently sitting in his pocket just from AMX 0. Top 12 here. You can see big names here. Fabrizio Belziti, Kyle Gaspar, Victor Miranda, Gaston Kulhavi, Kieran Harrison, Felipe Spetronev, who is a newer one here for this season. But you see all the new names, you see the big names, and if you want to duke it out with the best of them and try to steal that GT Light Pro from the likes of Jackson or Senjay, it's AMXrace.com. Just join, jump in, enjoy it. You might see me on track one day. You probably won't. I really enjoy commentating, but you never know. And hey, only way to find out if you have it is to just join and go. And now that I have given you the full introduction to AMX, let me go ahead and drop you on the track to qualifying here. And this is going to be where things get fun. Cadillac CTS-Z has been wild. And it is a very, very fun car. Like I said, I found a Reddit post and it calls it a UPS truck. And if you haven't driven one of these, they are very, very blocky. Very, very fun to go to. And this Roval course is very, very challenging. Just the first turn alone, the amount of times that I have ate both the inside and outside wall going through is obnoxious. It's been very, very crazy. And while I am looking at everything here, I believe that we are not in qualifying yet. I think we're still finishing up practice here. Maybe now we're jumping into qualifying. Just listen to the engine noises for a second. You don't need to listen to my voice all the time. The engine noises are quite nice in these Cadillacs, so I'm just going to leave you with that for a second.
That's where I come in to ruin the engine noises. How's it going, Brad? What's up?
Reed, welcome to the broadcast. I hope you enjoyed a good introduction from me. I feel like it's been a while since I've done that, so pressure was on.
I mean, I'd say no, you did a great job, Brad. Good to have you back with us. And in truth, it's just good to be back. We do have some downtime here. We're not broadcasting 24 hours a day, although I guess maybe that's the goal. Maybe. So when we're not broadcasting sim racing, sometimes it can get a little bit lonely out here. So it's good to have you back. It's good to have everybody else out there back with us. And time to get started with another excellent day of racing. You know, you were mentioning the CTSVs, right? I mean, this is a car that I guess I don't see raced all that often. You know, I'm googling the CTSV championship, but you know, it's not out there. So I mean, it isn't something that's a total stranger to iRacing, obviously. But I think we run it maybe twice this season. So it's not as popular as GT3s, GT4s, something like that. But it's still cool to see it represented out here. And we do have, obviously, a host of incredible racers to show it off, make it look a little good.
Yeah, one of the fun things I like about the CTSV, Reed, is, like you said, it's not something you see all that often. You know, everyone wants to run the big, powerful GT3s. Everyone wants to run, you know, the NASCAR Cup cars. They want to run the best of the best and jump in, you know, all of the big cars. And then you say, hey, I really just want to see you run CTSVs around the Charlotte Road Course. And everybody kind of looks at you like you're crazy, and they go, wait a minute, I don't know the last time I even loaded the CTSV. But that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's the fun with AMX, honestly, Reed. That's the big thing I love about this league is it's taking things like this, like you don't see the CTSV ran every day. It's probably not the most popular class on iRacing, I would say. But you throw it in here and you're going to see guys drive it like they've stolen the car, honestly.
No, I mean, that's the thing about this car is it is just a little bit incredibly powerful. What is it? It's like 500 horsepower, right? So you've got 460, yeah. You got a lot under the hood of the V8, and you can definitely put the pedal to the metal. It's going to be a lot of fun to run here tonight. And finally, we got the timing tower up, so we can actually just get a chance to talk about how good these guys are. Starting, of course, with Belzidi on provisional pole position. But once again, like I said, we have a who's who of incredible racers along with us, as well as some new faces, right? At first, I was kind of hyping up Okano as my fellow American, our fellow Americans, I can say, only when I commentate with you, Brad. But we got another one, Lugo Vickery. Now, Mr. Lugo, as I was fondly calling him while I was talking to him a little bit earlier today. Not a stranger to sim racing, but definitely not, what you would expect from, maybe our super tippity top pro gamers out there. Tyler Lugo Vickery is a guy that I think technically a professional photographer, but also does sim racing on the side. He's been on a couple of cool podcasts out there. He messaged me just like, hey, what's going on with this AMX thing? Like, you can check it out. So here he is. Happy to have him on board and representing, of course, the good old US of A, currently in 10th position. I don't know if he's going to stay there very much longer. And that is dangerously close to that top 15 cutoff. So got to keep trying to push it a little bit further.
Yeah, that's the big thing with it is top 15 is where you got to be for that inverted grid. You really want to find your way up because you do earn that money in qualifying, Reed. And that's the thing. One of the things I know that we discussed early on was, hey, what if you just qualify back and then just invert that grid forward? But no, you don't earn money that way, and it's no fun that way. You really want to push, you want to earn the most money, and then when you invert that grid, you just work your way right back up. If you've got the pace, if you've got the luck, you're going to work your way right back forward. And right now I'll say, riding on board here with Lowy Santee, he has a lot of pace, and we see Lowy Santee coming across the line there. I'm trying to see, and absolutely missing that left-hander to turn one, but it's okay because he's resetting to the pits. It's an interesting move there, Reed, and I will say that kind of caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie to you. That caught me off guard as well. Driver spinning around. these CTSVs, Reed, are a lot to handle. They're very, very big, and I don't know if you've ever driven like a big box truck, anything like that. I've called them a UPS truck already, but if you've driven anything like that, Reed, you know that it's just once the cars start moving, it's hard to stop them. And I will say from personal experience, it's a very, very bad time if you lose control of these cars.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a little junk in the trunk, you know. It could absolutely get away with you. So what happens when you put this much like heft? That's the word of the day, with such a powerful engine. I actually do not blame you earlier, Brad, for just letting the cars kind of speak for themselves. Absolutely an iconic engine sound, but it doesn't, it doesn't stop there. It's not just that it sounds that way. It sounds that way for a reason, and that is because it's a lot to handle. So I like the box truck analogy, Brad.
Yeah. You know, there's one thing Cadillac does right, and it really is just engine sounds. Speaking as a somewhat biased GTP fan, in IMSA racing, if anyone's familiar with that, I really, really love the sound of the Cadillac. And it's just really nice to kind of listen to these cars run around, hear the sounds, although, ultimately, I kind of do have to commentate on it as we go. And one thing I am catching, Reed, is that turn one is catching a couple drivers off guard. Riding with Belziti there, he is not the first driver that I've seen kind of keeping my eyes on that turn one that's hit that outside wall, and it's a real technical, tricky track. Even though it's so short, it's just 12 corners, I believe. But that infield section is going to catch a lot of drivers off guard as we go. And curious, Reed, kind of where you think is going to be the big moment that we're going to see. If we see a big one, bringing out the NASCAR terms here, if we see the big one, where are we going to see the big one happen?
The big one. I think we're going to see the big one happen when we get into Heat 1, Turn 1, and have to cram 30 cars into one little elbow. And actually, one of the big things about the CTSV is that when you're specifically like downshifting to second right before you're in a corner, the back end kind of gets a little swingy. It tends to kick out a little bit. So especially since this is sort of a it takes some practice to get used to that happening. So if some of our racers are just hopping on for the tournament and aren't as familiar with CTSV, then when you come into maybe not turn 1, but it's mostly turn 2, that's going to happen, as Nico Godoy just experienced.
Yeah, turn 1 to turn 2, to go ahead and just steal this off the side of Nico Godoy's car. It's going to take a He-Man to handle that lap after lap after lap.
Excellent.
Here. I had to do it, Reed. I had to do it.
I was warned about He-Man when I was growing up. I was told, he reprimanded the power of Castle Grayskull represented eldritch forces from beyond the warp. So he was a bad guy. My parents, who thought he was gonna negatively influence me, but now here he is, and they were wrong the whole time. I missed out on that beautiful cultural moment. Thanks to Nico Godoy for bringing us back.
Nico Godoy is a man of many talents, clown noses, and cultural nostalgia. We have to give it up to him. Is there a bonus point for that? Can I give him a bonus point for that? I will take that as a no. Riding on board here with Oliveira. Wow, okay. Apologies to Oliveira. Wow, I cannot pronounce words today. Apologies to Pedro Oliveira here as we ride on board. And you see during that back half of the infield circuit, that hump over turn 7 gets really tricky, Reed, and I think that's going to be interesting to watch. But I love that we cut on the tri-oval, and then we just come back out into turn 1, and then we just get to watch a full NASCAR lap of these cars flat out up until they hit the start-finish line, and then it's deep braking into turn 1. Again, very technical track. We've got about 5 minutes left in qualifying here, and a 106.640 from Ramos is currently where we're sitting. So I'm wondering, do we think Belziti can best that? Do we think anybody in our top 15 is going to knock that out? As we sit with 21 drivers currently in this qualifying lobby.
25 is a large number. I mean, not if you're talking about numbers of quarter pounders that I can eat, but when it comes to racers on a grid, then we're definitely cramming them in here. I mean, thankfully you got those deep bank turns, right? So you can, spread things out a little bit. And even if you do bump the things a little bit, you've got some guidance there from the walls. But once you hit the road part of this course, I don't know, man. This is a little bit tight. I mean, obviously there's some give and take. I'm not sure what our track limits are, but for the time being, it seems like, at least in qualifying, we're playing nicely with the other kids. We're putting up some good times, and everybody's having a good time. So far. So Ramos pole position, Belziti, Gaspar. But I'm looking down towards the bottom of the pack, and I'm seeing quite a few guys. Laue Santi's put up some good times. Eliseo has been top 2 at some points. So, Resende, Oliveira, I'm expecting some big times, but we're in our final 3.5 minutes of qualifier, so, time.
I said earlier that this probably isn't a normal track car combo, but with the times these drivers are putting in, I really, really am eating my words right now. Look at the spread of the field right now as we see Gaston Kulhavi, who I believe had a bit of a moment there going through what section of the track is he on there? He's coming out of 2, it looks like. Had a bit of a moment there, probably exiting the infield if I had to guess. But if you look at the times here, I mean, the entire field, all of our cars are separated by less than 2 seconds, which is, I mean, that's a very, very scary spread. And we're about to send all 20-something cars diving into turn 1 together here in just a short 2 minutes. And it's gonna be spicy, Reed. It's gonna be spicy. And I think what's gonna be really spicy here is if we can see some of these drivers really, really speed up the times here, as we watch with Sandro Villas-Boas here, who is just a Cadillac lawnmower. We'll call it a Cadillac lawnmower. That front splitter does sit low enough. Probably just cutting the grass a bit, trying to make it not be as slippery here in iRacing.
I mean, yeah, the slipperiness, I feel like this is the great dichotomy, right? Because I think for most people, when you're just driving your regular car out on the out on the road, production car, you don't really have slippage unless it's like, icy conditions. And then you talk about race cars slipping, and I think it's hard for a lot of normies to understand. But when you have like the rotational force that's going on here, your car is like trying to cling on with its fingernails. You get a little bit of slippage there. And so I have a feeling that's not the only time we're going to see some of it. I can't wait to actually get into the race because I'm just saying, if we keep everybody on the track for this race, I'll be happy. However, if we don't, I'll also be happy. So, I got no skin in the game. I just hope that our racers have a good time.
Reed's going to enjoy it either way. And, who was that going straight off? I think that's... Okay, several people going straight off there.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to do.
You got to practice your escape velocity, right? That's the thing. When you get a new car in iRacing, you got to push the envelope. You got to do limit testing, Brad. Limit testing. How do you think they got the space shuttle out of orbit? Not by underpowering, right? You gotta put in the right amount, right? You can't go to the moon without a few challengers. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, Reed, man. I don't know that comparing a Cadillac to a space shuttle is appropriate, although it's about similar size, goes similar speed, so I'll give you this one. Here.
I was going to say, just the back of this is like the size of Cape Canaveral, so it's a hefty girl.
You're not wrong there, and what is hefty is the fact that we have about 3 seconds, 2, 1. There's qualifying over for this AMX 0 session here, Reed, and I will tell you right now that the times are set up in a pretty good spot, and I think turn 1's going to be real fun. Kind of looking through, and I am trying to come up with some sort of prediction, and the only prediction I can have is that it's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Wow, Brad, really bold there. I like to see you're living life on the edge. Here's Gerardo Ramos. Gerardo Ramos, Fabrizio Belziti, Kyle Gaspar, Quarantine Guinness, Perdomora, Gaston Calavi, your top 6. And then actually some surprising names down there. Oliveira, Eliseo, and Jackson Resenje, all names that we see way up at the top quite a bit, so it's a little bit surprising. Some of our newer faces finishing down towards the bottom. That's kind of the way it goes. Really is a huge challenge to hop into AMX, drive a car on a track maybe you're not super familiar with, and try to just get it around the circle. So it's nice to see some new teams being represented here. Actually didn't know that Facundo Rago was on Voracious. Do my best to give him more shout outs there. But yeah, congratulations. Nice to see a little bit of enjoyment from our celebratory first place racer. And that's going to do it for qualifiers, which means, Brad, that it's time.
Take the top 15, flip them around, throw them on the grid, and get ready to go here. As we kind of walk through our starting grid here, some of the big ones that stick out to me: Gaston Kohalvi starting P10, Oliveira starting P8 there, Jackson Resenje starting P5, Nico Godoy P3, and Lowy Santi will be P1. That's going to be, I think, the big ones to watch here as we are off and away. It's a flat grid start, and here we go. This is going to be that turn 1 carnage read we talked about. Look at this, trying to squeeze 4 Cadillacs 4 wide into turn 1. Doesn't stick. Lowy Santi runs away with it early on. And watch the midfield here as things get crazy. I think we survived turn 1, Reed.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Brad. I feel like we need to knock on wood a little bit. We did indeed, and now we're going into that racing line. Brad, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it to them? They didn't ask for this. Unfortunately, Nico Godoy back there in 20th, not last place by any means, but yeah, rough way to start things out. He-Man, but not for very long. Now, E-Boy back there. Lowy Santi comes out the big winner after the reverse grid. Resenje, Eliseo, Boas, your top 4 on board now with that current race leader, Lowy Santi, up there at the top. And we're kind of lining it up. So, okay, Brad, I was optimistic. For the most part, my optimism was rewarded. But yeah, it's a rough job for the back of the pack. But this is actually where racing ovals, rovals can get so much fun, and you're cramming infinite cars into these big bank turns, and you get to see them just go wheel to wheel all the time. It's so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. This is what the AMX dream is made of, and I will tell you right now that it is just shoving a bunch of Cadillacs into a very, very technical, tricky road course and allowing the commentator to jinx Nico Godoy going into turn 2, not turn 1. Sorry about that, Nico. We can definitely discuss it later. But looking at what's going on your screen now, look ahead here of Jehan On, and if you look forward, it's Bunez, it's Boaz, it's Alizu, and they are battling very, very close. Jackson Resenje up into P2, putting pressure on Lowy Santi early on, and this is where the duality of the Cadillac comes in. I'm going to steal a quote there from Alex. And,
talk to me about it.
So, duality of the Cadillac, it's a road course. It's very, very through. It holds on very, very well in the road section. But look at the big wing on the front, the big wing on the back, look at the splitter on the front. It's where you get a lot of downforce, and then you get the slipstream effect through the oval portion of this course. You get the slipstream effect. You can slipstream through, slingshot around into the tri-oval, and then down into turn 1. If you are just a little bit cheeky and brake a little bit later, send it up the inside and take over a place. That is what Jackson Resenje has done on Lowy Santi. Now, Lowy Santi under a lot of pressure from the drivers behind Reed and needs to just focus in and stick to the back of Jackson Resenje. Otherwise, Lowy Santi is going to see himself dropping back very, very quick.
Oh, yeah, that's a big challenge with this reverse grid, is that it's not good enough to just get flipped to the front. You have to stay there, and that can be a real tall order. And you got some shooters in the back trying to make their way back up. Nico Godoy climbing back up to 15th, so if he can maintain that, then he's going to get the benefit of the reverse grid for heat number 2. And actually, after a little bit of a spin early, we haven't really seen too much craziness. There was an unfortunate wreck there in the back from Mr. Lugo Vickery, so I think he might have spun out a little bit Hopefully that was independent and not assisted. Let's take a look at what we got going on here. The Lego livery of Gaston Brestinkolavi doing his best to squeeze on by. There it is. A little bit of a spin in the back. The tan livery of was that Ramos? No, I think it was Bertoni. Might have been in the trip back to the back of the pack the hard way. Not what he was watching. But we get a replay. I didn't actually see kind of what the setup was for that.
I didn't really see what started that either. I just kind of saw cars start spinning, and yeah, hopefully we'll get a replay here to see exactly where that came from. Everyone was holding nice and tidy, Reed. You were right. Everyone was holding nice and tidy, and now I'm kind of wondering what happened there. Is everyone is just sticking through? We do have a replay coming in, I believe, in just a moment as we watch here. And yes, broadcast team, I love you all. The VinQ replay. Look at that. The Lego car holding on, everybody through, and just a bit to the inside. It's the front right to the rear left. 2 cars into 1 does not go.
Yeah, you can't bump that back wheel. It's going to happen every time. And honestly, out of all the the wrecks, all the crashes we have here in AMX, that accident happens the most. So if you're looking to take some learning away from today to better yourself as a human being, but also as a racer, yeah, gotta watch out. If you're coming alongside, you can't both own the same line. So it's time to figure out, do you want to force the issue here? Is this the hill you want to die on? Probably not. Chill out, leave some space, and you can keep moving forward.
Yeah, and here's the thing with it, Reed, is certain motorsport fans have different opinions of that same sort of interaction with a car on the inside, a car on the outside. Who gets the line? Where is it? And it's a mutual respect between the two drivers is where I'm going to always tell everyone to land. It's not the Formula One line where the car trying to pass just gets all the room and the person being passed gives it up. It's going to be that mutual respect. If you know there's a car on the inside, give them the space on the inside. If you know that you're trying to pass and you're trying to put a car where it can't go, then it's on you to know that your car can't go there. And sometimes, you have racing incidents where things just happen that should. That one was just a little bit, I think, of a racing incident. There's 2 cars side by side racing hard. Maybe a little bit of netcode played in, but it seems for the most part like that, it's just one of those accidents that needs to happen. And it, like you said, it's about being smart, really. Just when you're trying to pass the car in front of you, be smart with it. Don't try to make any sort of, bonehead moves and just hold on to it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you train for sim racing by playing something like F-Zero or something. Things a little bit different when you got these like big, hefty beasts running up alongside each other, trying to stampede. All right, now on board with Lawi Santi. This guy, former race leader after the reverse grid, but has dropped down one. No surprise there. Senjay climbing like a beast. Eliseu and Belzidi also climbing quite a bit. So there's a lot that Lawi Santi here has to think about. He's got a dope livery. He's got great skills and abilities. He's just got to. It's not just about him. It's about, can he drive defensively enough? We talked about how wide parts of this Roval are, and you can just see, look at the wiggle from Eliseu right behind him. He is desperate. He is really sharking, looking for a way around the outside.
Eliseu is definitely slightly faster just watching the sector times on the timing screens. Definitely there's a little bit more there for Eliseu, and Kohlhavi, I know, has a lot more there. And you can see it's just picking their point. They're really trying to find where they can catch Lawi Santi out. And it seems like the infield portion, that back half of that infield portion, going into 5, 6, 7, and coming out onto oval in turn 8, it's really where it seems like Santi is being caught up. And I don't think it's a matter of when, I think it's a matter of if he can get passed here by Eliseu. And it's just holding on there, because you can see Santi is just giving it just enough. Kohlhavi's sitting back now because I think Kohlhavi is going to sense what I sense coming, which is going to be an attempt here into turn 1. Kohlhavi, you can see a bit later on the brakes, closes that gap up quite a bit, and now it's just setting things up. Who can get the run? Kohlhavi with a good run here, but just not enough space to capitalize and make it stick there. he's trying to put the bricks together just to bring the Lego back. He's putting the bricks together, and there we go. Lawi Santi runs wide, and there we go. Elysiu is up, and Kohlhavi is trying to get past side by side here into turn 5, and it looks like Santi's going to back out of it, give Kohlhavi P3 there, and now Santi can focus back on his race, look behind him as much as he looks in front of him. And I think the big battle now is going to be who finishes P2, because Jackson Resenje, we haven't mentioned him in a minute, is 6.3 seconds up.
Oh yeah, that guy booster rocketed into the next universe, man. He is way out of there. And you know, I didn't necessarily expect that to happen, but it's something we've seen before. A lot of leaders tend to do that, and especially when you're on a Roval, you can get so much assistance from that heavy camber. You're just going to be able to get into the next solar system. So, on board with the Papillo, Gerardo Ramos. See what he can do in 9th. Not a bad spot to be in, but definitely somewhere you want to climb out of. Putting up a 109.1, which is actually fairly competitive. You look at the top runners, they're putting up 109.5, so when you're climbing like 3, 4, 5 tenths on some of the leaders, that's going to be good enough to put him back up into 8th. So a great job there, Ramos, on the climb.
Yeah, our pole setter Ramos, who again with the reverse grid back into 15, now up into P8, is Gaston Kohlhavi pitted, which I'm not sure why. That's a very interesting thing to see there. I wonder if maybe he had a little bit of wall contact somewhere, or if it was just to repair that front right damage he had from that early incident. But kind of setting things back up, and this midfield pack, again, this is what we see a lot in AMX. The front few drivers will get clean air, kind of run away with it. And then this midfield pack is going to group up very, very tightly and hold on to things. And Reed, this midfield pack is where the action comes, because with the final lap here, been a very, very quick heat 1. This final lap, I think, is going to be where some drivers decide to go for it.
I mean, it's time, Brad.
Like that.
Yep, laps 10 out of 10. Oh, off into no man's land. 2 cars less on the track for now. That is not the way Galavi or Okano wanted to handle their race out of here. And that bumps everybody else up. So guys like Mr. Gill, Mr. An, Mr. Godoy, gotta talk about that guy, up into 8th. Not a bad position to be in. And we're coming into the checkered flag here pretty soon, Brad. Jackson Resenje, we talked about it earlier, he is out of there. He has been first place for the last 25 years. Eliseo Belziti Mora also defining themselves, carving themselves out of a solid chunk of the track. It's all about Ramos. Can he make up 1.3? Is this his time? Gerardo Ramos trying to get along the outside, inside, up, down, all around. There he goes. Pulling to the side, hitting the pedal to the metal. The first checkered flag is out of there. He's just barely into 4th. No, now 5th. He can't find it. He can't get it to stick. He's gonna get past, and that is the checkered flag. Gerardo Ramos in 6th.
Pole setter finishes 6th after a very, very competitive fight through. Jackson Resenje with a very, very good run up into 1st place. Nico Godoy, I have to mention him, that recovery drive into P8, very, very good run. Kyle Gaspar, P11, Spectrum P12, very, very impressive runs and recoveries from some of these drivers. I'm curious to know though, Lawi Santi, I believe, was one of the victims of that final lap turn 1 crash, and I'd love to try to see exactly what happened with him there, because that was, I can't tell if someone misjudged the braking point or what happened, but Sigmund's coming through, Gunez is coming through, and then that, Reed, is going to be heat 1 of race 7 over. And we've still got one more 10-lap race here. We're not done.
Yeah, does not stop. I mean, technically it does, but it's not going to stop for long, Brad. That's going to do it for our first heat of the day. If you guys are new to watching AMX, we do a 15-minute qualifier, 15-minute heat number 1. We flip it up top 15 reverse grid and go right back at it again. At the end of the day, this is what your standings look like. Jackson Resenje with a dominant 6-second victory there in 1st place, 5.5. Eliseo 2nd, Fabrizio Belziti there in 3rd, Pedro Moore, Kevin Gill, and that epic run by Gerardo Ramos in 6th in the number 69. Making it look like a pretty nice run. Jayon On in 7th, and Nico Godoy on that recovery run, like you said. Connor Healy also a little bit of a higher place than we're used to seeing him. He usually floats right around that 15th place cutoff up into 9th, so nice improvement up there. Some big names towards the back: Kyle Gaspar, Gaston Calavi, and then Corentin Guinness in 18th after getting wrecked a little bit there. Some rough experiences for some of our best racers, but we'll see if they can change their stars as we close out heat number 1 and move into our final heat, AMX 0 for tonight.
Yeah, drivers really just, at this point, if you're a driver, it's all about that mental reset, Reed. It's going to be all about kind of setting up and breathing through. They get a couple-minute warm-up session here, and just kind of, they need to sit back and really relax and get ready for this next 10 rounds. You really push through, or next 10 laps. You really push through that heat 1 and push and go and, give it your all. But then you have to remember you have another heat coming up after. And the fun thing about these heats being so short, Reed, is that it's just all about pushing through. It's all about just going as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and just really pushing these CTSVs to the limit.
I think we can safely say that we accomplished that goal. Brad, we don't have a lot of opportunities to check out Cadillacs up here, so happy to see that we got it done reasonably successfully. An epic race to the finish, cool spins here and there, some amazing liveries, and some great driving there. So overall, when we put it in the record books, it's a pretty good way to start the day. And we're not done. Like you mentioned, Brad, we've got another heat coming up, a little bit of a warm-up for our drivers in between, or a cool down, if you want to think of it that way. Because it gets a little heated out there, Brad. You do 10 laps, you make some friends, make some enemies, and you need to sort of, take a breath.
Absolutely. If you have a rig and you're sitting in that rig and you run 10 very, very hard laps back to back through, especially after the qualifying session, you're going to need about 5 minutes or so to kind of just cool down and keep things going and, reset through for this next little 10 lap stint. It's going to be interesting to watch and see how the drivers come back after that 10, because again, inverted heat, we're going to flip the top 15 around again and then send them back out and see what happens. So some of those big names that we saw near the back are now going to be back up towards the front. And it's really about, can they prove a statement, Reed? Can they show, hey, I'm the big name at AMX. I'm top, and this is why. Or can Jackson Rasenjay, who won Heat 1, drop back into 15th, and now work his way back up into P1 and say, there's a reason I'm leading AMX 0 right now. Here's your proof.
I mean, we do have a lot of big names in AMX 0. We got even more big names coming as we flip things over to AMX 10, our $10 entry, $600 prize pool race coming up after this. So if you guys want to check out the pinnacle of AMX Season 3 racing, make sure to stick around after this race. We got a lot more coming your way. But now it's time for the Redux. We're running it back one more time. And I like that we do this, right? Because I feel like sometimes when you watch a race, you're like, all right, wow, the race is over. We did it. But this adds a little bit of an extra, redemption lap, right? Where maybe you didn't have that good a race. Maybe you had some tragedy. Maybe you didn't get the start you wanted. Maybe you couldn't make the overtake happen. But now you get a chance to make it up. To maybe have that reverse grid, give you that little extra boost that you need to get to the part of the field you have as your goal. You always want to make it happen as much as you can, and this is your chance to do it. Little 5-minute warm-up session over. Almost. And that means it's about time to get into our second and final AMX 0 heat of the day.
I'm really, really, really excited for this second heat. I was really excited for the first heat, and now that the second heat's coming, I think I'm a little bit more excited as we have 3, 2, 1, no more seconds in the warm-up. And it's a standing start too, Reed, so don't forget that, because it's going to be grid up and go. There's no pace laps. There's no, all right, get ready. What sort of a run can I get going into the start-finish? It's set up on the grid and go.
Actually, Brad, it's a sitting start. And this is the way it's going to look. It's Bertoni Ocado, your front row leader. I think Brad's dead now. Kalavi Spetrenev in row number 2. Kyle Gaspar Oliveira in the 3rd row. 4th row, Nico Godoy. Connor Healy up there in 7th. Gerardo Ramos after that epic 6th place down in 10th after the flip. with Jayon on there on that row. Pedro Mora, Kevin Gill, all the other names you've come to know and love. Us too. But they're all there. Difficult start for Quarantine Guinness. He's got some places to make up. So I think the name of the game is going to be defensive driving from him. Just survive to drive. That's the name of our definitely not knockoff show, Brad. Gotta keep it on the track this time, Quarantine. Of course, he had some help fixing that last time. The engines are revving, Brad. It's almost time.
And there goes Barney the flag man with the green flag, and we are away. And who is that on the outside just absolutely taking off?
Whoa.
That was Ramos. Where did he come from? Oh, he started
We
back
need
like
to call
P10.
this guy Gerardo Vamos, if you know what I mean. I'm offending so many languages right now. It's awesome. Okay, anyway, no, I mean, he's getting out there, right? Look at these
what was
times.
that?
No, wait, what? No. The track is on the. Wait, what is happening? Wait, was that
this? Oh, that's Nico Godoy again, Reed. I don't know what happened. I saw one car bump another turn. You know how wrecks happen here at AMX. It's a car bumps a car, and then 5 cars join it.
Yeah, this is the butterfly effect in real life. So, you ever play like an... Oh, no! There's even more happening. They can't stop it. I don't know if we red flagged this or not, but like... wow. You know, I was talking about Quarantine Guinness, like, trying to stay safe and avoid stuff. Well, he did. Somehow. I don't know how, but everybody else is taking a trip back to the pits the hard way, and he is sped up 11 places, Brad. Into 7th, right behind Jackson or Zenjay on your screen.
Jackson or Zenjay and Quarantine Guinness are going to absolutely power their way through the field here, and I'm saying that just because I'm curious what's going to happen on getting very, very swirly out of turn 1 into turn 2. And you can see, if you look there in the center of that dashboard, you can see just behind him Sigmund, who is absolutely pushing. But both of them are trying to chase down Belzini, and this is where things are going to get very, very fun as we go through. Watching that lead time as well, Bertoni trying to chase down the Ramos there, and just very, very close within half a second. And looks like they're going into the tri-oval now, or into the oval. I call it a tri-oval. It's just an oval. So big action. Look down in the bottom right corner. Here is your replay of Mora and Healy crashing together there on that first lap. And that is going to be what started a lot of the chaos there. Now you can see more cars getting involved there. And that is where that lap 1 action came from. But Reed, if we turn our attention back to the screen here, look at Jackson or Zenjay, who's trying to defend off of Guinness here. And they're trying to follow each other up in the front. And is that a Mercedes throwback livery on a Cadillac?
Yeah, no, I was also confused. There's a little bit of identity crisis going on there. I mean, I guess technically you can put anything you want, but like, you know, they knew that they could, but they didn't think if they should. You know, it's that with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, on board with Jackson Zenjay, Belzini in his bumper. That's I don't know if we can show that on screen, but for Zenjay, Belzini, Guinness, this battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, even Janon only a half second back. It's a really cool middle of the pack, and this is what you were talking about earlier, Brad. The top sometimes can just, you know, boost a rocket off into the distance, but this middle of the pack has been consistently the source of some of our best racing in AMX Zero.
Well, Hobby Gaspar side by side through. That's that slipstream effect that I've talked about as well, Reed, of things going through. And now Ramos in the pit lane. I'm going to assume that he jumped the start and that he might be serving a penalty here. That's my assumption.
No, I'm guessing because, like, did you see his start? I mean, you commented on it, but he had a little bit of a one-up on everybody else. So he did pit. I mean, I guess technically, no. I mean, that drops him all the way back. So that's horrible. I don't know if that's a commensurate penalty or why he's back there, but there he is, down in 16th. There's no reverse grid after this, guys. 15th is the cutoff for cash, so you do want to at least prioritize making it up there. After that little altercation with Healy and Mora actually survived quite well. Did slow him down, but he's still out there racing, and he is in 17th, so he's got a shot at cash, which I believe would be about 20 cents for the 15th. So If you want some money, you got to race for it. Back to the back. Up in the front, though, I think it's starting to look a little bit like heat number 1 with Bertoni, Gaspar, Kulavi starting to carve out their own sections of seconds.
Yeah, now that Ramos is out of the picture there, having to serve that penalty, now Bertoni has a second, a little over a second on Gaspar, but look at the run on your screen. Let's not get distracted here, because look at that. That is Sigmund just going onto the brakes there, that number 22, giving it up there. Now a little bit of a wheel tap there from Elizu, side by side from the 22 and the 16, and who holds on to it? It's inside going into turn 3. So there goes Elizu holding on. Rago trying to stick a nose in the
Sigmund
in the mix there, side by side. Can he hold on to it, Sigmund? Can he hold on to it again? Still side by side.
Oh my God!
2 by 2 as we run through, and going to be slotting in, but I don't think that's going to be a position that's easy to hold there by Sigmund, as I do think Elizu is going to fight that tooth and nail the rest of the way for these next 5 laps. Reed, it's going to be tight here at the midfield.
Nah, yeah, you pick this race up off the shelf at Home Depot, man. 2x4s, 2x2s, you got it all. Eliseo trying to keep it close, and indeed he is. He is just going for it every chance he gets. We're like 2-3 wide. Coming through lap number 6, plenty of time to get it done, but they want it to happen now. That 10th place is not a place anyone is going to occupy for long. Least of all, Eliseo keeps trying to make it happen, but can't quite stick it just yet. He's going for it. 2/10, 1/10, back out again. Can't stick it one more time.
And just keep in mind, while we've got this battle here for P9, P10 going on, Reed, we've also got a 4-way battle for the lead that I've been trying to keep my eyes on the timing boards. With Gaspar, Kulhalvi, and Bertoni really trying to hold on. But watch this. Lugo Vickery up the inside here. This is our fellow countryman trying to hold on. Gets a bit out of shape there on the curbs. Trying to pass Elizu there. Isn't able to hold on to it. Now watch this. Santi into the mix. Santi, who led a number of laps there in Heat 1, is going to be in the mix as well. This is just a big battle all the way through, and I wish we had like 6 different cameras so we could watch all of these battles happening at once.
Yeah, no, big shout out to our production team who keeps showing us some cool stuff in the picture-in-picture. Really love to see so much action happening. It's you know, you think back to like when we were just starting out with just a few racers here and there. Now got these big massive fields, action everywhere. It's a little bit of a suffering from success, right? Too much stuff going on. So I'm glad we can focus on Bertoni right now as he looks to make a big dent. Now this guy is actually one of our big losers, down 3 places as Oliveira, Kulavi, Gaspar climbed super far, and now he has his toughest battle yet. Florentine Guinness has climbed 13 places to be right behind him, and I don't think he's content to stop there. So while Bertoni has got to sort of stanch bleeding up there towards the top, he also has to fight off perhaps his toughest opponent yet.
Guinness is going to set this up very, very quickly. Watch the timings as they continue to count down, and you're going to see it all the way through the field. Again, that slipstream in the Cadillac is very, very strong here through the oval section of Charlotte. In the Roval, it's really all about driving and being technically good, but in the oval, you can get that slipstream and find a bit of time. And look at this. Oliveira here is trying to chase down Kulhavi. See how that gap is closing, and Pedro there being very smart on the brakes, braking a bit early. He's going to go for just the faster run through that turn 1, hold on to things, and there it is. Gaspar, Kulhavi, Oliveira here holding on, and it looks like they're hitting lap traffic, which isn't something I expected to say.
Yeah, where's that blue flag at? Whoa, big spin right there. Sigmund, I kind of thought this guy was contesting for some of the top spots after a big spin. He's out of there. Gerardo Ramos also 14th, so he is not fighting for those spots he was at yesterday, as in the previous race. So long ago, Brad. Yeah, no, Ramos, after that big penalty, he's climbed a little bit, but still down off the start. So I don't know really what happened there on the spin, so we get a chance to see that here in just a second. Nailed it. Anyway, back in time for the replay, and here's what happens. I'm guessing it's another one of those tap the back wheels. What do we got? Off on the inside.
Here we go.
And abs. Oh, okay. Actually, that was both players making the opposite read at the same time. Straight into the wall. Big spin out. No collateral. damage, but still 2 less cars on the grid.
You know what's amazing with that is that's coming through that high speed. That was a little bit of a moment there with Oliveira and Guinness there. That's a bit of the front to back, can't go 2 cars into 1. What I was going to say about that replay we watched for that big crash was it's amazing they didn't take out more collateral damage because that was the fastest part of the track there. But then we come back to another spin. It's the fatigue here starting to hit in, and I think if you're someone like Jackson or Senjay, he's been holding back a little bit through this. Look at his sector times on the live time. He's been given just enough of breathing room to himself. I think here with these last 2 laps, he's going to try to push and get past Bertoni in front of him, try to get past Nunez as well. Don't think he can make it up to Flavi and Gaspar in just under a lap, but he's really, really going to give it a try.
There it is, Brad. There's that try you were talking about. He really is making those moves. Resenje 4th, Kyle Gallagher in front of him, and Gaspar leading the pack once again. Let's see what happens. We check the back on that Oliveira crash replay. Is it Oliveira or Oliveira? Either way, he's back there, and that's what it is. Another one of those taps on the back wheel. You hate to see it.
That's the unfortunate part of being a driver in iRacing is sometimes it's just one of those things that you're going to spin around and go, well, what just happened? What is not going to be asking what just happened is going to be Kyle Gaspar. Because Kyle Gaspar up there in the front, 1.8 second lead coming around in the battle here for the midfield. This is where that slipstream is going to play in. Jackson Sinjay used it to his advantage, and now he's got Bertoni behind him. He's really going to have to defend it through down the back stretch here, and he's going to have 2 more corners after this high-speed corners. Lowy Santi, who is trying to find a little bit of vengeance here against Ludo Vickery and get past him for a P9. Look at your bottom right corner of the screen, Reed, because that's our race winner, Kyle Gaspar, in that CTSV across the line. And now we just kind of watch and hold on here. And it looks like Sinjay does hold on to P4, but Lowy Santi, watch this 1/10 of a second. Here we go. Listen to the throttle modulation. He's being very, very smart with this. And here we go through, and it looks like he's not going to be able to get it. He loses traction out of the final corner there coming out of turn 4, and that's pushing through, and that is a matter of just not having enough grip in the car to get in the throttle early enough. And now it's just the matter of our last 15th place driver here, Gil, gets across the line. Now it's Elizu, who had a very good run through, and Healy there. I don't think we've talked about him a lot, but Healy here coming through in P17 will be our last driver to finish. We lost Godoy, Sigmund, and Okano there during the race. So 17 cars are able to finish it across the line.
Yeah, and that doesn't even really tell the whole story. I think we had a little bit less than 17, actually drive the entire race competitively after some pretty decent accidents there. This is the way that heat number 2 looks. Kyle Gaspar, your race winner, up there representing, of course, KTF BRB Esports. Of course, right down below him, you have Gaston Clavi and Quarantine Guinness. It still says this guy's a privateer, but he's racing for Team RC, one of the best French racers out there. Of course, along with Gael Valero. One of these days, we'll get them both in the same race again. Jackson Resenje for Canan Esports Brazil. Of course, Tony Canan, their patron saint. Andreas Bertoni, privateer, and then Fabrizio Belziti and his teammate Facundo Rago finish in 6th and 8th, respectively. Voracious Esports racing team. I'm just going to put Voracious Racing Esports Gaming Team Association. I don't know. Tyler Lugo Vickery, first time out here in AMX 0, and he finishes in 9th. Not bad. Respectable run on maybe not a super familiar car. Lowy Santi 10th. And some big names towards the back, though, that we wanted to talk about. Eliseo, we've seen him top 10 multiple times. He is in 16th. Nico Godoy, unfortunately, 19th finish. And then a few others who really struggled to start after those accidents. So that's the way it looks. End of Heat 2, end of AMX 0. Brad, what do you think about today's race?
That was a fun one. Again, I said it at the start, American with American, it's always going to be a fun race in iRacing. Sorry, I'm a little biased, Reed, I'll admit it.
Wait, you mean
but,
you and I?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I wasn't going to say you're biased, but I know I'm biased when it comes to it. You know, I'll give you a little bit of a benefit there. But very, very good run through. I think it's always interesting to see how the drivers handle these different car track combinations. And it produced a lot of action. We saw some crashes. We saw some good runs. We saw some very, very nice overtakes through 3 wide into turn 1. But overall, it shows the skill of these drivers. And now everyone has to kind of pick it up, turn it around, and get ready for TCRs. And that is a different beast entirely.
Oh, completely. It's really going to stress the versatility of a lot of our racers. So cannot wait to see the TCRs. They're coming up in just a few minutes. So maybe go get a snack. Be right back. Oh, that's what you can do. In the meantime, is check out our social media, which, as I say, is popping up on the screen right below me. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, join the Discord. We got memes, and also you can talk to some of the amazing racers down there if you got questions on setups or formats or rulings or whatever. Discord's the place to check it out. If you want to sign up for the next race, there's still time to do that, and I think there's a few tickets left if you want to join us for AMX 10. $600 on the line. You can do all of that at amxrace.com. So, yeah, that's I think that's going to do it. Anything else to add, Brad?
Man, I can't wait for TCRs. I can't wait for every AMX race, though. So maybe, yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, all right. Then that's going to do it for us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got more iRacing action as AMX Global League Season 3 continues right after this.
We must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
And I'm joined now before the run here with Pedro Oliveira. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thanks. I think Cadillac is not my favorite car, and Legacy Charlotte, it's I remember never raced there, so it was a great race today.
I was talking with the other commentators before, and I sent them a video and said, hey, if you're like me and you're not familiar with the Charlotte Roval, here's a quick 5-minute video about it. It was a lot of fun to watch the race, and I enjoyed it. Kind of talk me through your experience with AMX, you know, the difference with AMX 0 and AMX 10. Do you enjoy the variety of cars?
Yeah, that's my first year here. And my third race, I think, or fourth, and it's great. It's great. It's a great championship, and AMX 0 and AMX 10. It's not difference for me because all the grid have high skills. The grid is a high level and was great in the last race. I raced with Max and was incredible because this is a Formula One championship. Was amazing side by side to him, you know, and I'm very happy. Just this, I'm very happy raced with this grid, and Miranda Jackson is my teammate in Brazil. I race for Texaco by Tony Canaan, and you know, this grid is a high level. In the last race in Porsche Cup, I think if I stay in Porsche Cup Championship by iRacing, is like that. It's like that. Is because all the headline drivers stay. Texaco, Corentin, Chadwick, is a high level to race here.
Absolutely, but I will say, Pedro, in my experience, that you fit in very, very well. My final question for you before we move on, and I'll let you get ready for AMX 10. How do I properly pronounce your last name?
Oliveira.
Oliveira.
Pedro Oliveira. Yes, in Brazil, Oliveira, Ferreira. It's like that. Oliveira.
Awesome. Pedro, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you out on the track here in AMX 10 in the TCRs.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Pedro Oliveira as we get ready for AMX 10 here, race 7 in Zolder. And this is going to make things get very, very exciting. And I hope you are ready for a very, very good run here in AMX 10. And joined here with me is not Reed this time, but Amir. Amir, good evening, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Brad. Good morning, everybody. All good evening, wherever everybody is in the world. Great to be here again after what was an exciting first time for me last week with the two ovals that we did, which was the Lakeview Speedway and Indianapolis with the NASCAR Cup Car. So, happy to be again this week with something different, and it's something more closer to what I grew up watching. But nonetheless, it's going to be no less exciting, though, Brad.
Yeah, Amir, I'm looking very, very forward to seeing how this race runs. It's Zolder, it's TCRs, it's a big mix-up and different compared to what we have with Cadillacs, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how this goes. It's just going to be a different challenge than what the Cadillacs were, and I really cannot wait. Let's see here. As we set up, again, if you're not familiar with AMX here, Season 3 overview, September 20th to December 10th, over $25,000 being given out. 15-minute race with invert grids between through, and if you've ever seen an iRacing league like that, no, you haven't. This is completely new to you. It's top 15 invert between the heat, and we pay out qualifying Heat 1 and Heat 2 top 15 are going to make a bit of money, and in this run, it's over $600 that is available. And it's going to be absolutely exciting to watch. And if you're not familiar with AMX, AMXrace.com is the place to join, and you get the link anytime you want. AMX 0 in the Zoom, it's an extra $1 if you have the cam on. For AMX 10, it is required. Any balances over $100, we pay out each month, and we race Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday nights. And that's talking from Eastern Standard Time. We'll look at the time zones in a second, though. And as we look here, time zones, bring it up. Wednesday, 9:20 p.m., AMX 10, 2:20 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays is when you can run AMX 10 here to join in and get in on the action. Now, if you are, again, of the European descent, and maybe that's a little bit of a weird time for you, and you say, I don't know when that is, 3:20 a.m., on a Thursday morning. If you're a late bloomer, you're going to love that. Saturday, Sundays, 8:20 p.m. It's a very, very fun time. And if you have nothing to do on a Saturday night, do that and then go hang out with friends. Bring your friends in. Again, AMXrace.com. Sign everyone up that you know. It is a great, great time. And you've heard me talk about the prizes. How do we hand out the prizes? Quali, first place, $40. Invert the top 15. Heat 1, first place, $40. Invert the top 15 again. Heat 2, $40. Camera is required. It's $601 in prizes given out to the top 15. And fastest lap gets an additional $5. But we're not just giving away money here at AMX. We've got some great partnerships with some great organizations like Next Level Racing, which is giving away this beautiful FG Elite sim rig to our AMX 10 champion. If you are the best of the best and you prove it day in and day out, all the way through this long, long season, you're going to win yourself an FG Elite courtesy of Next Level Racing. I can't thank them enough for that. Now, if I can get them to send me one as well, that'd be great. Now, if you're like, hey, I don't know about signing up. If you want to sign up, first 10 entries for every AMX 10 race is free, and that is on a rolling basis. Again, we have races Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday nights. Just sign up, and if you're one of the first 10, we waive your entry fee. And just think about that. You pay nothing. You have the chance to win dozens and dozens of dollars. It's a no-brainer. I don't know how much more I can convince you to do it. And Amir, let's look here at our current top 12 here at AMX 10. Diogo Pinto with Team Redline is currently sitting at $338, but Kyle Gaspar is not that far behind there at $240. Jackson Mersenje, $225 here at AMX 10. Yanni Vecchio at $198, and you can read the rest of the line through, going all the way to our top 12 of Gas and Cool Hobby. And the thing is, the gaps look big, they're not that big.
Yeah, in fact, behind him, Fabrizio Belziti, we saw just now how he was doing so well in the AMX 0 series. Look up him, is right there in the top 5. Here in Harrison, with having raced 3 times, won once. That's about one of the few drivers you get to highlight at the moment, but we'll definitely get to see some really good potential coming up in the race in the 2 heats after this. Hey, Brad, sorry.
Absolutely. Amir says it best here. Now, let's take a look at the track that we're going to run here. It's going to be Zolder, the little brother, but not the little brother of Spa. We ran in Spa, but the thing is, Zolder has such a good reputation. It is Belgium's other world-class motorsports facility, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth to say it, Amir, because it's such a good track. And the thing is, it's been around since the 60s. It's 4 kilometers long. It's a fun track. And what better track to bring a car to than to bring the iRacing TCRs? Here's the thing with the TCRs. There's 4 cars available. I have personally owned 2 of these cars. I've owned the Elantra N. I've owned the Veloster N. I love my Veloster N. There's the Civic Type R and the Audi RS3 LMS. All of them range 300 to 350 horsepower, front-wheel drive, 12 to 1,500 kilograms, sequential gearboxes. There's different characteristics in each one, but they are so much fun to run, and it truly is a challenging track. TCR is a very, very fun class to run. And Amir, that's going to get us through all of the introductions here, and I think we're gearing up for qualifying. What are you excited about here to see in this AMX 10 session? I've been watching kind of the practice times, and it looks like things are going to be very, very competitive here at Zolder.
Absolutely, and the other thing I'm looking forward to is the wheel bagging, because remember, these are touring cars, so you don't mind going door handle to door handle, but it's going to be very tight considering the fact that Zolder is quite narrow in certain places, Brad.
Yeah, Zolder gets very, very tricky as we watch him here, and it's going to be one of those that we're really, really going to have to watch the drivers and see just how they're able to hold on to things. And again, this is the little brother to Spa, I'm going to call it, but it's really not the little brother. It's more the twin sibling that birthed out of that same love for motorsport here in the Belgian region, and it's going to show as we watch this go through. And I'm seeing a variety of cars out. I see a lot of Audis, see a lot of Hyundais. Pedro Mora, the only driver that has went in for the Honda, which I think might prove a very, very good decision for him.
Yeah, going a bit left field in terms of car choice, but I don't think it'll be too much of a difference, because considering the fact that these cars are more or less UP to be close, but it looks as though it's going to be a straight fight between the Hyundais and the Audis.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, and I wish I could tell who's in the Elantras and who's in the Velosters, because I can't tell just based on our timing screens, but it should be good to watch the drivers go through, and you're going to see a unique kind of qualifying situation here. With the TCRs, a lot of the drivers will just stay out and do continuous laps. In my experience, at least with watching the drivers here in AMX, they don't like to do out laps, push laps, and then reset, out lap, push lap. It's 15-minute qualifying session, and these cars can take a couple of laps to really get to grips under them. And this is going to be where I think we're going to see a lot of the drivers kind of group up, and we're going to see this group qualifying, Amir. And this, while it's very beneficial, can get very, very dangerous for the drivers if the driver in front of them has a bit of a slip up anywhere.
Yeah, you're right to point out about the drivers doing continuous laps, because in a touring car, especially TCRs, it just takes a while to get around the circuit anyway, so that's why they're not going to go back to pits. They're just going to go straight ahead, do lap after lap after lap, and having to contend with the continuous traffic. So if drafting was to be a thing, especially on the fast circuit, that would be no problem, but in this case, this is a stop-start circuit, so they do not want to have traffic right in their faces, Brad.
Traffic will prove very problematic as things go through, but I think this is where things are going to get exciting as we kind of watch the rest of the way through. And we see here, Yunez on board getting a very, very good time. And again, if you're newer to this sort of qualifying format, and maybe this is your first time watching a sim racing event, and if it is, welcome to AMX. We're so glad you picked us. The colors on the bottom of your screen on the timing charts as we watch the drivers move through. Green means that's their personal best. That means that's the best they've ran for the amount of laps they've ran, whether it's 1 lap, whether it's 20. Yellow means they didn't improve on that. It doesn't mean it was a bad time, it just means they didn't do better. And purple means they're the fastest man on track at this time. I should say driver, the fastest driver on track at this time. And as we watch here, Yunez currently setting as our fastest driver on track, 139.640. And Jackson Resinje 141.2, and there goes Belzini putting in a 139.867. So, Amir, this is where I'm gonna kind of lean off onto your driving experience. We saw kind of the shiny fun things behind you there on your screen during the intro. as a driver, what's your goal? Do you want to go out and be the first person to put in the fastest time possible? Or are you kind of comfortable with going, a couple of laps, maybe not being the fastest right off the bat and, improving through the 15 minutes?
I go for the latter one, Brad, to be honest, because I would love to have a banker lap in, and then if it's the fastest time overall, that's a bonus. That means that I'm on pace, so I just want to actually build on from there. But if I were to be like some of those drivers that did not have the best first and last, like we're looking at right now, what's happening to car 17, that's Zamperlini, you wouldn't want to have too many of those. You just want to get one banker lap in and then continuously improve from there. So that's where the mental is really important. You do not want to actually lose your head, especially in just qualifying.
Qualifying is long, but it's also so short at the same time here in AMX, and it's very, very easy to get lost there. You see Fabio Zamperlini, fabulous Fabio, as I love to call him, getting very, very settled in there in that Duck Hawk Racing livery and the Audi, trying to just settle in. You can see having moments there, watch him fight the wheel through the chicane there, and doing very, very good to do so. Now it's up the hill, down the hill. This is a very, very challenging track here in Belgium. Amir, you pointed it out. It gets very narrow. It gets very wide. There's moments where you go in the chicane, and if you try to stick 2 or 3 cars together in the chicane, I don't think it's going to work. And as we jump on board here with Mr. Pinto here, who at the moment, I believe, is very, very good and comfortable there with a banker lap of 142.7. Not near the 138.7 of Gunez, but if we know anything about these Team Redline drivers, they are going to get very, very quickly up into those top spots.
And Pinto's doing exactly what I was actually saying just now, where he's happy to get the banker lap in, but he'll be even happy to see that his delta is getting much faster as the laps go by. So really then, he's just building up to the great crescendo toward the end of the session, Brad.
The great crescendo. I love how you phrase that, and that is a very, very good way to phrase it here. As we ride on board with Pinto, who is continuing to just push and be comfortable, but look down at the bottom of your screen there, Gunez, who improved first and third sector, down in the fourth and fifth, but still is able to find a bit more time there. 138.786, currently holding that provisional pole position, but we have to mention it. Just because you qualify at the top, you get paid, and then we're going to throw you right back into 15th place. Top 15 are inverted between each session here, and that is where things are going to be very fun. We heard from Oliveira here in that pre-race interview. It was very, very exciting to hear from the Texaco driver, who's very, very well holding on and in a comfortable P7 there. You can see the focus on his face. He's very much enjoying this, as we heard him say. And you heard him talk about his incident with a certain named driver that I won't name from over the weekend. We'll just put that behind us here and just we'll move on to this race tonight. But currently sitting P8 in the number 8, and now we're starting to see times put together in here. This is going to be where we watch the times start to compress, and with the exception of Chadwick, who I think just still doesn't have a representative time in, really has that banker and doesn't have a representative. That top 15, I think we're going to watch those gaps compress. Currently it's about 2 seconds separating the top 12.
Yeah, in fact, we're looking at Oliveira right now. We're jumping further behind onto the racetrack. This is actually coming through the chicane up the hill. Who is this we're looking at right now? It's Yang. So Yang's out on track. There he is. We have him in his inset. Looks as though he is setting some decent sectors, but not going to be challenging the fastest on track. And conversely, Valentin Gunez has actually gotten even faster, 38.2. So he was setting sectors alight there, and he went even faster in this one by about almost a full second ahead of Eliseu.
Kyle Gaspar lighting up the timing charts here now. 138.985. So Gaspar able to find enough time here for P2. We're officially halfway through this qualifying session. Well, I'm a little behind because we're a little over halfway through this qualifying session here. And watch Spetrunev. Spetrunev has a friend there keeping him company, and that is going to be the number 13 of Belziti that was kind of sticking through. You see building a bit of a gap now as they come onto the start-finish straight. And this is going to be the point where you're really going to see drivers go in. Again, we haven't really seen a lot of drivers, resetting, doing multiple laps. These TCRs are very, very nice to their tires. They take a lot of heat up, but once you get those tires in the right operating window, it's very, very easy to just keep them there and keep pushing and finding time. as we see so far, everyone's put in about between 4 and 5 laps now, with the exceptions of a couple of people here. But everyone is finding very, very similar pace here. And again, it just shows how competitive AMX 10 is. A couple points of things that I do want to make sure that I announce here, that if you're part of our Discord, you would have already seen this week. A couple of changes we made to AMX 10. While AMX 0 is accessible to everyone, AMX 10, we have put a road iRating limit in place. You do have to be over 2,000 iRating in order to participate. You must also join the Zoom with an enabled working camera, which, again, you have to do that to get paid, but just want to make sure we reiterate that. And, of course, we are now looking at live stewarding and getting that set up. Race etiquette, good sportsmanship. We want to see that at all times, especially here when there's so much money on the line, Amir. It's very, very important to see these drivers, act very cool, calm, and collected through.
Absolutely, Brad. They just must have very good decorum all the way through. So with that in mind, so the drivers might just actually be a bit more respectful out on track. But I say that advisedly because touring cars, you can have a bit more elbows out. So hopefully we can see a bit more action, but they do it within these.
Yeah, we saw it in AMX 0. There were a couple of moments where I was like, that's a racing incident. But the big thing is when you've got this much money on the line, there has to be that degree of respect. And the one thing I will say about my time here with AMX, I've been around for a while here, and AMX, there is a lot of respect between all the drivers. And if you're in the Discord, everyone likes to chat a lot. Everyone's very, very good friends with each other. Everyone knows each other to a degree, and it's a very good conversation. You got to think, all these drivers are sitting in a Zoom call together right now as well. You got to think, if you're a driver in a Zoom call, are you really going to run like a bonehead? No, you're going to think about it and be smart. And that's where we're starting to see the stewarding system be implemented, which, again, props to AMX for setting that up. And again, just to quote the announcement, FIA homologation and live stewarding that they're working on for bringing to future broadcasts and future races. For now, if there is an event, the drivers do have that way to report it, and they can report that through, and it's reviewed as appropriate actions taken as needed. And if there is something absolutely, egregious during the race, the admin team are going to take action on that. And it's very, very great to see that Premier Sim Racing League continuing to just step it up all the way through. But I don't want to take us away too far from qualifying. I just want to make sure I shout out those very, very important things coming to us. We have about 3 minutes left to go here in qualifying, and all of the top 4 are within top 6 are within a second of each other here. This is a very, very close qualifying, and I think it's going to show for the race as well. Very, very competitive racing. Any big standouts for you here, Amir, at the moment?
Corentin Gines, that is a very fast time. He's well over 7/10 of a second faster than, at that point, Gaspar. The Chadwick has finally showed up, and he's put a 38.8. So Gines is probably the guy who's really on form with these cars right now. He's well and truly past the field at this point.
All of the drivers starting to wake up here and get things moving here at the end of qualifying. And again, it's 15-minute qualifying session and then a heat and then another heat after. So it's all about really holding on and just making sure that you're going here all the way to the end. Make sure you save some for the heat, but make sure you're pushing through, because we pay for qualifying. So you're earning money now if you're placing top 15. And like you said, Amir, Chadwick, representative time here. Very, very good looking time on the board here. We're riding on board right now with Pedro Mora, who is doing very, very well. And Pedro Mora, again, the only driver in the Civic Type R. And it's very, very nice to see all 4 cars represented here in this TCR class. And now the Audi here of Dornella, who is going around trying to hold on to things. Gaspar improving a little bit here, but not able to improve any as we watch those bottom times, but also watching Dornella there in a very bland livery Audi, I will say. And I'm curious to see what other liveries we're going to spot as we get into the heat. I've been trying to keep an eye on most people's, but I feel like I've missed a couple of good ones.
I think the most noteworthy have been the tactical colors of Tony Kanan's team. That's the one that we really see that really stands out, especially when it was put on the NASCAR last time. It makes you think of Davey Allison somehow.
Honestly, I see that. It's super nice. I really, really love the Tony Kanan's livery there. There it is. Our broadcast team are so on it. They hear us talking and they say, "Oh, you mean this one?" shout out to the broadcast team, day in and day out, keeping it together, keeping commentators like us on track as we see Elysiu here with just about 30 seconds left to go, trying to find that extra 0.8 of a second to try to best Gunez there, who is currently sitting provisional pole with $40 in his pocket at the moment.
Yeah, and a very handsome lead as well, about 6/10 now. So Pinto managed to find another 10 to Gunez, but unfortunately, not enough to overhaul pole position. So Gunez, he's still out on track. We saw just now he was trying to put another lap in, but he's gone back to the pit lane, and that's the end of qualifying, Brad.
15 minutes comes and goes so quickly here in AMX, especially when you're putting this much money on the line 3 days a week. And as we see here, we're going to get things going, and it is a very, very tight qualifying field, with the exception of Quarantine Gunez, who just had to go and mop the floor there with a massive gap of, 0.7 of a second almost. But as we kind of scroll through here, some of the big names that stick out to me here is Pedro Oliveira there in P12, who 1.3 seconds off the pace. He said it himself in his pre-race interview. It's a very, very competitive field, and it goes to show just how competitive things are when you look at these gaps, just how close everything is. If you knock out Gunez's time here, everyone's within about a second or so of each other for a majority of the field. And there is Gunez down in the bottom right, your session winner, the winner of $40 through. William Chadwick, I said it early on, not a representative time, was able to throw in a very, very good time to finish P3. But now we just invert the grid, Amir. We go backwards here. And where does that put our pole sitter of Gunez? Down into P15. It's going to be Spetronev and then Ramos there. And we saw Ramos, who was top of pole there in the AMX 0. Diego Villarreal up into P3. Oliveira into P4. Dornella, Mora, Racinje, Victor Miranda. Some big names all the way through. Fabulous Fabio, P10. And now as we get all of these TCR cars on the grid, it's going to set up for a standing start. And then at this point, Amir, I'm going to let you take it away for the race start and just take us through the chaos of turn one.
Certainly, Brad. So you can feel the butterflies in the stomach right now. The drivers definitely are going to have the red rise for the start, but they're not going to put it too much to the floor, otherwise they will bog the start. So really that timing of the revs is important as the field continues to grid up here at Zolder. You can see, interesting point to note, the three Texaco Tony Kanaan cars are together on the grid, so they might form a bit of an armada trying to storm up to the front. We're on board with one of the drivers further behind in the midfield here. That's Diego Pinto, P14. Revs rise, and we're away here. Wheels spin all the way. You can see some smoke come out, but it looks as though Pinto's got a great start, and that's a terrible start for Dornella. He's going to get swapped out through the field as we go to turn one right now. Side by side, both of the drivers going through. Spetronev has actually gone off, so he's been punted out early. The Pinto has survived. He's gained two free positions from the start of the race, but it looks as though the rest of the field then goes safely through, Brad.
Everybody's safely through the first couple of corners. Nobody wrecking, but it's not over yet. Watch this side by side all the way through in these TCR cars. And as we go, the Texaco drivers absolutely trying to hold on and keep their way moving forward. We see a bit of shuffling there, a bit of gravel flying off the kitty litter, as our wonderful friend Alex likes to call it. But everybody holding on and still going through. Watch this deep break. 3 wide of the TCRs, and there goes the driver spinning. Who is that through? I believe that is Belzini getting taken out into the chicane. The driver's doing very well side by side, but Belzini, a very, very unfortunate loss there through. And now everybody just trying to settle back in. I'm sure that we'll have to go back and check exactly what happened there. I think that was just a lap one incident, but you can see back in the back, they're back going. So at least they're back going. Somebody was off in the grass there in the background a little bit. I think that might have been on, but I'm not for sure as we watch side by side Gaspar, and that is Diego Villarreal trying to hold on to things here. And he is able to. Pinto now also pushing his way through all the way up into P6 there. A very, very rambunctious start we rode on board with. And here we go, Pinto through. Gunez blinking just a little bit in the background. That is something you see with iRacing, but it looks like it's not too bad. He's able to hold on here. And now Pinto just trying to push through there up into P5. And that was somebody going, I thought he was going off, but just went to the pits. That was Gunez into the pits there after a chaotic lap one. And Amir, I think we've survived lap one with everybody except for 3. Spetronev, Yang, and Gunez into the pits there after lap 1.
I think Gunez might have actually gotten a drive-through for jumping the start, so that's why he went straight away after the end of lap 1. We're on board with Pinto for a second. No, sorry, that was up into Donella for a second. We're on board with Gaspar, who goes in front. Now, Semperlini is in front of him. So, yeah, I was about to say, he gained the most positions there, along with Diego Pinto. 8 positions between Mora and Gines, but unfortunately Gines has actually dropped the ball there, and it's now way at the back with P17, Brad.
LZD Nunez doing very, very well to get things back going here. Watch Pinto here, who is just absolutely battling here with Ramos as they go side by side through, and we are going to get a BenQ replay of that lap 1 action here. And you can see as we go through, just deep in the braking, trying to hold on, and it's just the number 13 there of Fabrizio Belzini not able to hold on as they go side by side. And I think he just locked up a little bit and the car stepped out from him there, the Audi. And that's a known trait of the Audi to do. But Jackson Rasenje, we check back in with our leaders here after that BenQ replay. Jackson Rasenje in the lead, Chadwick there in P2, Victor Miranda P3, Pedro Mora in P4, and look there in P5, it is Diego Pinto, who is just slowly creeping his way up the field, up 9 places since the start, and is just going to continue creeping up. Chadwick's up 11, Jackson Rasenje is up 6, and at this point, it's just a matter of who can move up the fastest.
In this case, Chadwick will be one of those guys to watch out for. He's already made up 11 positions. He's made up more positions than Pinto. But going back to the incident on lap 1 there, I think it was Oliveira that actually helped out LZT. So that's why LZT actually spun up. So a bit of the traits of the Audi coming through there, but he was helped on the way to the barriers, unfortunately, Brad.
Something that is not going to help here is up the inside goes Chadwick on Rasenje. And I was going to mention the high ratings and the licenses of these drivers. We've got 3 pro licenses in, and it's currently P1, P3, P5, Chadwick, Miranda, and Pinto. And look at the way Rasenje is driving. He might as well have a pro license as well, because that was some Astra class racing between Chadwick and Rasenje. And that is Chadwick going up in the lead. But I very well, if I was a betting man, I'd put a lot of money that Rasenje and Miranda are about to push their way forward and make Chadwick work for this win here in Heat 1. As we go through, and you can see Pedro Mora under a lot of pressure from Pinto. The gap just over a second right now, and Pinto is going to be looking around, trying to make his way through. Jackson Rasenje, see him down there in the bottom left of your screen, representing that Texaco team and just trying his best to make his way through, just doing everything he can there in the Tony Kanaan, and just trying to move his way forward and hold on to P2 and maybe get that P1 back there, maybe with some help of his teammate from behind.
Yeah, and they're all driving Longtras by the looks of it. You have no Velocitas in the top 3 on this one, so they're going to be equal performance in terms of how they're going to drive. But maybe Miranda and Rasenje might just wouldn't get it into getting out on Chadwick, as we see further behind. That's Pinto around the outside or on the inside, and Pinto gets 4.
Pinto through up into P4 now. And that is going to be Ramos going a little bit wide there, and that is going to open up the door for Oliveira and Gaspar to make their way through. And that puts Gaspar up into 7, Oliveira into P6. And again, with this competitive field, it's just a matter of how many more times these positions going to switch through. Gunez down in P17, putting in our current fastest lap. But these leaders, they're battling so much, I don't think a fastest lap is even a thought for them right now.
Oh, sirree, they are definitely fighting for position at this point in time. They just do not want to lose time battling with each other. But again, that's to be expected, especially when touring cars, these cars that are actually heavily DOP, to be very close, gonna have that kind of problem anyway. But for the time being, Chadwick is already pulling ahead by 0.7 of a second from Vicente and Miranda. Look further behind there. There we go, now back up in front. The 2 teammates are together. They want to work together to get up to the back of Chadwick, but unfortunately, they're going to have to battle each other first.
Absolutely. That battle in the front is big. This battle in the midfield is big. Look how close that Hyundai bumper is there to the back of another Hyundai. It's very, very scary to see a car come up on you in a braking zone like that. It makes you realize one of 2 things. Either they're a little bit braver on the brakes than you, or they missed their braking point. And it looks like in this case, it's the case of Kyle Gaspar being very brave on the brakes there, coming out and is going to find his way up into P6 there in that Hyundai, and is going to continue to push his way forward, trying to chase down Pedro Mora in P5. And it's just a matter, again, look how close this midfield battle is. Look how close the battle up front is, as Pinto is now going to be within a second up front, and all of these cars. I don't know where to look, and I don't know how the broadcast team decides what to watch here, because all of these battles could go any way at any time. Oliveira here in the mix of a big battle.
Yeah, certainly, and he has the main specter of a serious inquiry, shall we say, from that particular lap one incident, but he'll probably not be thinking of that for now. He's thinking of how to get by the guys in front of him, especially Kyle Gaspar, who's the returning champion from last season, right in front of him, so he's got a total on to try to overtake that guy. Likewise, Pedro Moron is no slouch either, so it's going to be a bit difficult for these guys to break away from each other.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think they're going to break away from each other, but the cars are so evenly matched that it really is a matter of, can you find that little bit more from the driver in front? Can you find that little miss that they aren't? Can you brake 10 meters later? Can you turn 5 kilometers faster? And in a case like this, like with Gaspar right there on Mora, he's braking just that much later going into the second chicane there, and it's really, really paying off for him. He's able to get a run here, and now watch this. He is going to be up the inside going into the left-hander here, and you can see Mora dabbing on the brakes a little bit, backing out of it and letting him through. And now Gaspar up into P5, but he's got 5.5 seconds he needs to make up on the front four. And the front four, look at those time differences. Victor Miranda 139.0, Pinto 138.5. So these front four, it's P2 and P4 faster than P1 and P3 right now. But I think we're going to see some big mix-ups there. I think we're going to see some big mix-ups here. And Amir, I don't know how this is going to end, but I can tell you we've got 2 laps to go to finish this off.
Yeah, an 8-lap race just flies by so quickly, especially given the fact that the pace in front has been so hot in this heat. So, yeah, we're going up to the front now. Let's see what's going to happen. Resende and Miranda. Miranda on the outside. So the 2 Texaco cars are fighting with each other. And this brings Diego Pinto to play. But a bit of a mistake there for Resende. They're going to go side by side again. Where is Pinto going to go? He might just have to hang back here, because he knows full well these 2 collides going to open up the door for him to get up the Chataway.
Side by side into the chicane, and Jackson Renasinje is not giving it up. And there we go. That was a scary rejoin there from Victor Miranda, but Victor Miranda thankfully takes nobody out. You can see the head nod. He's doing the same thing I'm doing in my chair right now. I'm sitting here cheering them on. That's so good. And they have the Team Redline driver of Diogo Pinto right behind them, trying to hold on. And this is where the challenge comes in. How can you fend off that car behind, but also pass the car ahead? Victor Miranda finds himself in the most challenging position as a sim racer. I will tell you right now, I do not want to be in Victor Miranda's seat, ever, for the position he's in right now. But as we cross over, we start lap 7 now, and this is going to be where I think we see things get challenging, because Chadwick's pulled out a 1.7 second lead and is going to be able to kind of just cruise through. But it's 2 teammates that are currently battling for P2, P3. But do they play the team game here? There's money on the line. You don't, right?
Yeah, they would definitely not playing the team game a lap earlier, where you can see Miranda and Resende going side by side there. So they're now holding station, but now they are doing it the same thing again, trying to hold up Pinto. So unfortunately, their little squabble has opened up a big gap for Chadwick. So Chadwick can now just cruise the line here. Pinto senses a bit of blood in the water and will try to do one more overtaking maneuver here.
Here we go as things go, and you can see the gap closing a little bit here in front as well. But the two Texaco liveried cars are going to be back at it again. No team orders here. Dive up the inside into the second chicane. It's side by side. There's some contact there, and you can see that is going to be Victor Miranda losing out there, sliding through, and you can see him. He's laughing. He's enjoying it. This is all fun for them. There is money on the line, but it's all fun. And now here we go. Jackson Resinje is going to need to get the elbows out. How wide can you make a Hyundai? That is the question I have, and it is the question Jackson Resinje is going to answer for me over the next lap and a half. How wide is a Hyundai to block a Hyundai behind?
Yep, so Hyundai on Hyundai action right here. But it looks as though Resende might be a bit of a sitting duck, because he doesn't have his teammate for protection. Now he has to do all his defending here, coming to the final lap, Brad.
And this is where the challenge comes in. White flag flies. They have just one more lap, just 2.5 miles or just over 4 kilometers. There's the replay of the Miranda slip in the bottom right corner as we keep our eyes on the big screen here as well. Side-by-side action, a little bit of a bump there. You can see just the control that comes in from Miranda to even save that. It's impressive.
Luckily the front wheel drive comes in handy because he's all front wheel drive car, so you just plow the throttle, car just straightens up, Brad.
Absolutely. Front wheel drive comes in handy, and a bit of racemanship and cheekiness there. And here's some cheekiness. Pinto side by side here with Sinjay going into the chicane. You can see Jackson there. He's trying to hold his tongue the right way to get through. He's not able to. And then there's a bit of a break there. It looks like Pinto is going to let Sinjay back by. It seems like there's a little bit of just an agreement, a gentleman's agreement there for how that run went through. And down the inside goes Victor Miranda. Pinto playing the gentleman's game, giving the position back. That opened up the position for Miranda. Miranda's now through. Now Pinto is going to have a challenge for third place here. He was challenging for P2. Now it's for P3. As you see there, that Hyundai in right behind. He's looking for it. He's going to dive up the inside. There's a little bit of contact potentially. And it looks like Victor Miranda is going to run wide yet again going into the final chicane here. And that, boys and girls, is going to be where we bring it across the line. Who can hold on to what? It is a matter of just a little bit of a lap left here. Victor Miranda trying to hold on there against Gaspar. Gaspar, where did Gaspar come into the mix here? And now as he goes through final chicane onto the line, Chadwick comes across, claims $40. Rasinjay to P2, Pinto P3. Miranda does hold off Gaspar in the end and is able to hold on to P4. Gaspar P5, Mora, Oliveira, Dornella, Ramos, Zamperlini, Elizu, and now Belziti will bring it across P12. Boas, Diego Villarreal, and Jehan On will be the final driver for P15. But look at how close those gaps were all the way through the top 10. And I didn't know who was going to finish where until they crossed the start-finish line. That was competitive racing here in this first heat. And Amir, we're not done. We're going to flip the top 15 and do it all over again.
Absolutely, we're going to do it all over again here from P15 to first. So at the back, that will be Chadwick, Resende, and Pintos, your top three from 13, 14, and 15. Then we're going to have on pole Jehanan, Diego Villarreal, and Villas Boas right out the front. So that's an interesting mix. And I think some of those guys further behind may have actually felt a bit hard done by their first race, especially Corentin Gines. After serving that drive-through, he might be out to have a bit of redemption in race number 2, Brad.
Absolutely. Redemption stories are the name of the game here. And the name of the game here in AMX is drive your heart out and leave it on the track. And I will argue all day that is what every one of our drivers have done. The Texaco Racing teams representing very hard all the way through the field. But there are two drivers up front there just absolutely trying as hard as they can. Rasinjay and Miranda putting on a show for us here. And there's no warm-up. There's no, warm-up, cool-down, what do you want to call it? There's nothing with that. And now as we grid up here for heat number 2, we're going to get hot and heavy right into it. We're away, and our pole sitter does not get away well there, and it's already dropping back. And you can see drivers shaking things up, and look at that. They're like 5 wide in the middle there, and there's already someone into the wall and around it. Who was that? I hope that was not who I think it was there. And it was, I believe, Pedro Mora through Oliveira is around. Rasinjay is in the back somehow holding on. Diego Villarreal up there in P1 holding on. But it is Rasinjay, it's Petronov, it's Gunez, it's Belziti, it's Santi, all with a piece of that carnage there. Not even into the first corner. Absolute chaos through. You can see drivers still mixing things up, but in the front of the field here, on holding on. Somebody getting into the gravel there, getting very loose. You can see a bit of avoiding action there going down the main straight. And there, looky there, Pinto already up into P6 after the inverse grid, or the reverse grid puts him all the way back through. And he's able to move his way through. Kyle Gaspar trying to fight through as well. And this is just going to be action and chaos again. Amir, what do we do about it?
I have no idea how to decipher that one, because that was literally everyone going full Leroy Jenkins. It was just absolute chaos. But by the looks of it, big winner out of all that is Diego Pinto, who managed to gain at least 8 positions, in fact. So that is a very good start from Pinto to go up there into the top 3. Top 5, aiming for the top 3, Brad.
Diego Pinto doing extremely well to snake his way through the chaos, and before the end of the first lap gets up, and who was that going very, very wide like that? I believe that was, who was that? That was
Villarreal.
Boas.
No, Villarreal was on the inside, but then Boas literally went on the grass trying to call him unsympathy. So luckily then, when he was kicking around, nobody got hurt in that particular instance.
Able to hold on to it down to the bottom right hand while we watch this action here on the main screen. The replay from the chaos at the start, and I can't cipher what cars that is, but I see someone in the wall, someone around right, someone around left, and just a lot of our grid getting caught up in that early on. But it seems like most people have made their way through. A few drivers into the pits, Zamperlini, Chadwick, Belziti, all into the pits here. Pedro Mora down in P18. But as all of that is happening, Alizu up in top place, able to get past Diego Villarreal. Villarreal trying to find some slipstream here. TCRs aren't going to have as much. And back in the background there, that was Gunez and Gaspar having a little bit of a moment there, I believe. Or no, Gunez and On both getting a bit swirly on the main straight. It's a bit weird of a place to see cars getting loose. I wonder if they're just trying to slipstream with each other, but not able to hold on to it. And now, watch that Pinto in diving on Ramos. So Ramos spinning and now getting tagged there by Dornella. And that is going to be very unfortunate for Ramos. Ramos now dropping down into P9, and the rear end of that Audi is absolutely crushed.
Yeah, looking very second-handed there. Unfortunately, he had a spin, but he got helped on the way out by Dornella, as you said. So really, that is just unfortunate. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Speaking of Dornella, there he is now having to fend off a pass on Corn and Ginez.
Ginez with the cheeky headlight flash there. And that, if you're running multi-class, that headlight flash is the signal of, hey, I'm the faster driver, let me by. And it seems like Dornella might be listening to that there, but it doesn't seem like he's going to listen very well. Gunez is going to have to fight for this one. It's not as simple as a flash the headlights and I get by. It's a flash the headlights and I have to do a bit of work for it there. But in the end, he is through. Look at the front end of the Audi on Dornella, just absolutely crushed in. And I'm sure that's from that contact there that he had with Ramos. And yeah, not a good combination there to smash Audis at speed, I'm seeing. iRacing does very, very good to simulate that.
Yeah, damage on iRacing absolutely on point with how these cars will feel in real life. So do not want to have at least a fender cave into the car. Otherwise, you might actually just have that bodywork scraping onto your tires. So really then, great job by iRacing to make that particularly detailed. As we see, Mexico Armada going for it. But yeah, we're going to go up to the front. What happened to Pinto there? Pinto's actually gotten in front of Gaspar. So Pinto then managing to make up 11 positions in the space of just 3 laps. And Ginez as well, likewise, 12.
Pinto, Gaspar, and Gunez, all extremely fast drivers. And I think at this point, if you're Gaspar and Gunez, you need to just tie a string to the back of Pinto and let him drag you up towards Elizeu and just try to fight your way forward. Because at this point, it really is going to be a matter of just fight your way through, do your best, make your way forward, and just find as many dollars as you can, because it's a very, very competitive field out there. And really, one good result can be the difference between claiming your grand prize from Next Level Racing and not claiming your grand prize from Next Level Racing. And if you're me, I want that grand prize. And Gunez here, you can see with a bit of a run here, Amir, he wants that grand prize. Is he going to look for a move into turn 1, though?
And no way through it just yet. Gaspar defends it quite well, but you do not want to go side by side through there anyway, because it's such a fast corner. He might just try his luck in the chicanes again, Brad.
He's going to try his luck. It's a little bit of putting pressure on the car in front, and it's a little bit of just trying to find your way through. And there we go. We're going to see the dive up the inside. He's got a bit more speed. Inside goes Gunez. Outside is Gaspar. Gaspar not able to fight that one off. And in the background, I saw it looks like Dornella and Villarreal spinning. Did I see that right? It looks like Villarreal now dropping down the order. Yeah, he was way off into the barriers.
And that beneficiary being Hanan, he's up to P5 in the Blue Steel Racing colors. That's actually incidentally my actual team in sim racing. So at least we have iRacing representation here with Hanan. Nice to see him up in the top 5 there, Brad.
Absolutely. The fellow teammate there on doing very well to represent your team through. And I'll tell you who is really trying to find some representation here. It's the Tony Kanaan Mexico team here, as you see Spetchernev here with Oliveira chasing him there in the background, and then you got Jackson Resenje up in P7. You can see a little bit of damage on that car, and his teammate there, Victor Miranda, getting around Ramos into the chicane here, and very, very well able to move past the stricken Audi and go through into P8. So at this point, it's just a big battle. On doing well to fend off Dornella here at the moment, but it's side by side. into a chicane that usually doesn't work, and watch Jackson Rasinje. Jackson Rasinje said, yo, I'm going to go side by side through the chicane, and I'll just go ahead and sneak my way. I'll take 2 places for the cost of 1. Thank you very much. He's drag racing it down the main straight here, but does he have enough speed to fight here with On? And it's going to be around the outside into turn 1, but in the inside is going to go Dornella. Can he make this stick 3 wide through? And it looks like inside is Rasinje. Rasinje is going to just be a little bit braver with it, try to shut the door here, but Dornella doing his best to find the door around the outside, side by side by side by side. And as we continue down through, again inside here, Jackson Rasinje trying to make it stick, and that's going to open up the door for Victor Miranda now to try to get in the mix. And Victor Miranda, you see side by side again there, Dornella just getting absolutely bullied here. And watch Ramos in the background there. On's going to have to watch his rearview mirror side by side into a chicane. Again, that doesn't normally work, but they're able to hold on to it. Lots of respect for racing that's being given. And Amir, this is nail-biting stuff all the way through.
Wow, I wouldn't want to be one of the drivers in that particular situation, but somehow there, no one had a collision until that point. Miranda just got a bit of a hit from Hanan. They were almost Noah's Ark 2x2 coming through first 2 sectors, but now everyone's going to go elbows out here as we come beyond the halfway point, and drivers are starting to become really, really antsy, Brad.
Drivers very, very antsy because at this point there is no restart. There's no re-inverting the grid. It's all the dollars at this point. This is all you're going to get tonight until Saturday night, of course, and then we do it again, and then we do it again Sunday night. And for Victor Miranda, there is a big, big chase to be had here all the way through. And as we watch, Victor Miranda has been very, very good to battle through. He's got a little bit of a gap now on Dornella that he needs to make up. He's going through, and look behind him. He's got more of his teammates not too far behind there, and Spetrunev, Oliveira, who are absolutely trying to look through. You can see a bit of a dive around. They're really, really looking for it at the moment. And Amir, at this point, we're lap 6 of 8, just a few more laps to go. And then at this point, it becomes a matter of who can find the most time in the shortest amount of laps.
Indeed, and you do not want to be stuck behind somebody who will cost you that amount of time to catch up to the guys in higher positions. So in this particular case, the other tactical guys might be thinking their teammates are up in front. They just want to get on with it. So some of these drivers are becoming a bit of a cork in bottle. There is Resende in front of this whole gaggle of cars. The 3 other tactical guys are trying to look at him and say, yep, we'll try to do the same thing as well.
Absolutely. At this point, there might be some teammanship, but who knows here? I will tell you who is not going to have any friends is our P1 driver, Elizu, who, if you look at the timing screens there while we watch this onboard battle in the midfield, it's half a second behind Pinto, and then Gunez 0.3 of a second back. I think they listened to me and they tied that string onto Pinto there, and Gunez at least kept up. Gaspar's fell back off just a bit. Kind of watching the leaders as they go through, and we'll see if any action heats up from them here during these closing stages of our Heat 2. And as we see here, Pinto really just trying to put pressure. I think he's maybe conserving a little bit, and maybe just trying to hold on to a little bit of tire so he can make a big push. But Gunez isn't going to give him the time to breathe, because look at this, putting a lot of pressure down into turn 1. He's sticking right behind. You can see Pinto there, a little bit faster sector time. Gunez a little bit faster sector times there than our race leader. So it's really, really going to be under pressure, especially on this final lap once we get through this lap 7 and go into our lap 8 of 8. On this second heat. Amir, what is going to be the key to passing? Because it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass.
Absolutely, Brad. And in this case, some corners fare better than others. We saw the chicane how some drivers will try to do it. No way through for Ginez just by Pinto's got the line covered. I think the biggest driving point has to be the hairpin at turn number 8. And that will be the one that a lot of drivers will try to aim for, especially Ginez, especially Pinto. They know how good they are on the race. As we saw how in the first race, Pinto got third place out of that one. But at this point in time, he is now playing defense here in front of Ginez, who is actually slowing even further. I think he might have cut the course somewhere there, Brad. He is actually getting rid of a penalty.
Yeah, it looks like he may have just taken a little bit more than he could there in the chicane, and now he's having to serve that slowdown penalty as they have in iRacing. You catch track limits and you have to slow down so much within a certain amount of time. Give the time back is what the iRacing spotter will tell you. And at this point, that makes it a 2-horse fight for the front. Well, should I say, an Audi and a Hyundai fight for the front as we go through there. Pinto, Elizu trying to battle it through here. And as we come around, white flag being waved from the iRacing flagman here, Barnett. This is going to be where we see things really heat up. 0.3 of a second the gap, but look at that, just a little bit faster through on that final lap with Pinto. As we look at the relative times there, just 0.2, but he's only 0.2 behind. That's all it takes here. And now this is going to be it. This is going to be where you really need to stomp on the loud pedal, as I'll phrase it, and get it going here. Elizeu, Pinto, who comes out ahead of me here?
Let's just see, and hopefully no one cuts the corner, otherwise they'll hear that dreaded "it's like you cut the course" message coming on the team spotter. So that's what happened to Gines. He doesn't want any of these two drivers in front don't want to have the same thing. Pinto dives on the inside, has a bit of a dig, looking at Elizeu, but Guillaume Elizeu is not phased by that. There's gonna be a bit of a touch. Okay, Pinto goes for the inside and looks as though Elizeu has probably done one cut too many and is dropping back further behind.
Pinto able to work his way through. Elizeu not able to hold on to it. Now Gunes again back in the mix. Look at that, half a second back. He's got about half a lap to try to find that. But Diogo Pinto able to find his way into the lead. Eventually find those 12 places and move his way up here into Heat 2. And now he just has to hold on to it through half a lap. A couple more chicanes to go. And can he hold on here as we go through? And it looks like he's going to do a little bit of a celebration, maybe preemptively, maybe just breaking the toe. We'll say he's celebrating. It sounds more fun to say that. But as he comes through these final few corners onto the main street, it is going to be Diogo Pinto who is going to come across the line and win Heat 2 here in race 7 of AMX 10. Elizeu, who was leading for most of it, comes across in P2. Gunes giving it his absolute best effort. Finishes up in P3. Gaspar able to pull up 4th. Jackson Rasinje with a bit of a gap. And now as we watch Oliveira and Ramos here, that'll get through all the way to the end. And it is going to be Ramos who bests Oliveira there. And Spetronev, Tony Kanon team just having a fun little Heat 2 and finishing pretty spread out there. And now Chadwick, who had a very, very good run 1 there, comes across the line. Is going to be our last points paying place. Now we will have Zampolini and Mora to finish out our Heat 2. What a race, Amir. What an absolute race.
Absolutely, Brad. That was absolutely nail-biting stuff, especially up to the front. It went all the way to the last lap to see Pinto just basically fulfilling all the predictions and getting a race win right in there by 0.3 in front of Elizeu. With Gines unlucky in P3 despite being one of the fastest cars out there. He's had fastest lap in both races, but it's just he can piece it together. At least he got pole position to celebrate.
Absolutely, bragging rights on pole position. And remember, you still get paid for pole position. That's a very, very big deal there. We're still giving you money if you start out in pole position, but it goes to show the fun of AMX. Things move up, down, left, right, all over the place as we go, and you're never guaranteed to be at the top over and over and over again. You really have to fight for it every time, and that is the big thing we see here in race 7 here at AMX 10. Diego Pinto bringing it in for the win here in race 3 with a stellar pass near the end. Elizeu finishing out there in P2 was holding on to the lead for a good chunk of time there. Gunes P3 fighting his way forward. Gaspar fighting his way forward. Jackson Rasinje and the Tony Kanon Esports finishing out there in P5. Victor Miranda, 6th place. Dornella, we saw a lot of great battles from Dornella representing DHR. Very, very impressed with his drive there. Jehan On, your fellow sim racing teammate there, finishing up in P8. Ramos 9th. Oliveira in P10. Very, very competitive runs all the way through. And that was extremely exciting to watch there all the way through. What's your big takeaway here from this run? What's your big takeaway from this, Amir? We've gotten through both heats. We watched qualifying. We watched a lot of good passes. What's kind of your takeaway here from this Wednesday night / Thursday morning run?
Well, it's just basically a lot of the usual side-by-side action and really brave overtakes we had come to expect in AMX. But I think it's also attenuated or amplified somewhat, especially given the fact that we saw the second race with touring cars. So that's why we saw a lot of door banging action and a lot more on the line. So glad to see that being the case. But I think the true fast drivers come to the fore in big spades.
Absolutely. It's so much fun to watch these touring cars battle. And again, it's the fun with AMX. We went from Cadillacs in Charlotte, and now we're with touring cars in Belgium. It's just absolutely amazing to watch all the way through. I do think we're going to get ready to get set up for some interviews with some other drivers, Amir, and just kind of get their feedback here on how they feel with AMX 10 and with the league as a whole. See what kind of questions we can get going for them here. And starting us off with the first run is going to be the man who finished with a very, very competitive run there in Heat 2. Eliseu, welcome. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Very good. Yeah, even better after that second heat. But yeah, very good.
So kind of talk me through, as a driver, obviously I've said several times if I raced, everybody would finish last. We won't talk about that though. Kind of when you're a driver and you've got very, very competitive drivers behind you that are absolutely pushing you, what's your goal? Are you trying to put down quali laps lap after lap, or are you trying to kind of relax a little bit? Maybe not put forth qualifying laps all the time and just be very consistent. What's your goal? You want speed, consistency, a mixture of both?
I think the key is the consistency. Even in this track, that you have a lot of off tracks and a lot of slowdowns. I don't think that putting quali laps are really the goal here. Yeah, even with really great drivers behind you, it can cost you a lot getting a slowdown. So yeah, I think consistency is pretty much the key here.
Absolutely. One of the big things I do want to ask you about too is it looks like you've got a lot of your Tony Kanaan teammates here in the league as well. And the more I look and the more Texaco I see, the more I'm like, okay, they've showed up. What kind of does this mean for you all as a team? Are you all really kind of working together? And do you treat this as like practice? Is this just sort of something you all are doing for fun? How competitive is this for you all? Because we saw a lot of teammate battles through, especially for you and your teammates.
No, it's pretty much everyone is competing for the top. I don't think it's for fun. At least me, I don't take it like that. And yeah, we're pretty much battling every lap. Even though we are together on Discord, trying to do some strategies. It's on the race itself. It's pretty much a battle. It's free for all.
I'm glad you mentioned that you all share a Discord call, because we saw a good point there in Heat 1 with Jackson Rosinje and Victor Miranda battling it out very, very hard, and I saw a lot of Victor Miranda on screen laughing. Is there a lot of trash talk that goes between you all as teammates? You say it's competitive, so I have to ask.
No, it's if you can't race with any sound in your listening to something, it's pretty much impossible to race in that Discord. When you're battling, it's trash talk every time, everyone laughing. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard to concentrate.
Absolutely. Last question. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked in the pre-race interview. How do I properly pronounce your last name?
It's Eliseu.
Eliseu.
Eliseu. Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Unfortunate part of being American is sometimes names get to me, but we work with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by after the race, and congrats on a very, very good result here in this round 7 of AMX 10.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, Amir, I think that is going to be where we call things here for this round. We've seen some very, very competitive runs all the way through, very, very tight battles top to bottom, and I think in the end, it was Very, very exciting. And is it Saturday night yet, Amir?
Yeah, and it's quite nice to see that the drivers actually showed a lot of respect for each other. We heard how the Tony Kanaan guys, they were talking to each other on Discord. They're having a laugh, but to the certain extent, he couldn't concentrate. So that's kind of like something that happens when I do some sim racing with friends as well, especially when it becomes competitive. You can take this thing out of it by, throwing a bit of banter in between. For the most part, it's nice to see that everyone's also taking it quite seriously. And that's why the racing just now was just absolutely mind-bogglingly brilliant.
Absolutely. And if you want to banter with our drivers, of course, amxrace.com is the place to sign up. Jump on the Discord and join in. There's always conversations going on. I do want to take a second and just thank all of our great sponsors and partners here. Next Level Racing, Ben Q, always great supporters of the league here. Of course, AMX Global on Instagram, AMX Global on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, AMXrace.com, that's the place where you sign up. And then TikTok, if you just want to see some clips and some highlights of the league, you're missing that little bit of AMX on a Thursday, on a Sunday night, on a Monday, whatever it may be. If you're just missing things here and there, just check us out. Check out our socials. There's always something going on. And on behalf of Amir, I will say, until Saturday night, we'll see you next time.
you